I need to give a warning to people before you watch this video. If you are a part of the LGBTQ community, I don't mean any disrespect. I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, but what I'm here to do is to try to educate people about things that are factual, things that put our children at risk, ways that we can kind of use some preventative measures. And in general, we want to excoriate people who hurt, harm, murder, and abuse children. That is what my goal is. Before we talk about this person that you guys see on my screen with those green screen glasses on, we're going to talk about him and the horrible things that he's been doing to little boys. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. And I think that's about as good as I can disclaim before I get to giving my opinions. So I'm getting this story from lawandcrime.com, so thank you for the article. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the story, then I'll give my opinion. I'll do it like that. A male nanny, Nanny, a male nanny, babysitter in California who advertised himself on his website as the original sitter buddy. That don't even sound right. The original sitter buddy. Y'all see, you got just the pictures, man. He has been sentenced to 705 years to life in prison, plus 2 years and 8 months for molesting 16 boys ages from as young as 2 years old all the way up to 12 years old under his care and showing pornography to a 17th boy. Before we get into talking about this individual by the name of Matthew Antonio Zarkruski, whatever his name is, 34 years old, he was sentenced this week, prosecutors in Orange County said in a press release. If a person is sentenced and convicted and sentenced to 705 years to life in prison plus 2 years and 8 months for molesting 16 boys, my question to those who are listening to the sound of my voice: does that make him gay? Same sex? Boys? Man? Boy? That would make him gay. So I want to qualify that off top that yes, he is a part of the LGBTQ community because of his sexual orientation. Because last time I checked, that's actually how you qualify if you're in LGTB, is your sexual orientation. Now, let's keep going. Parents gave emotional victim impact statements, expressed outrage at his deception, and compared Zakruski to an animal, prosecutors said. From a statement, Zakruski said he prided himself on bringing smiles to your children. And all the good times we shared were 100% genuine as weeping parents covered their ears. On his Sitter Buddy website, Zakruski advertised himself as a quote-unquote manny, M-A, M as in Mike, A as in Adam, N as in Nancy, N as in Nancy, Y as in yellow. A manny or a male nanny, offering overnight and vacation babysitting services, mentorships, and big brother relationships, authorities said. All of those are red flags, especially the overnight thing. To me, that sounds like that's something maybe relatives should be doing and not a single individual person. There's just no accountability when you leave a single person with your kids, like whether it's male or female. I just think we just got to be more careful. In the 8th grade, I discovered what a joy it was to work with children and be a positive impact in their lives through my school's buddy program, prosecutor said that he posted. But Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer said that he was a monster disguised by smiles and giggles, engaged in the most horrific and calculated manipulation to ensure he would continue to have access to children. And I want y'all to look at his face. If y'all can, for my channel members, I want y'all to post the clown emoji. Actually, I'm going to do it myself too. And tell me that his face doesn't look exactly like that clown emoji that we're about to post in the chat. Right there. Copy that, paste it. If you're a channel member, you should have access to it. He looks exactly like the clown emoji, a straight up clown. The first case came to light in May of 2019 when a couple who hired Zakrzewski through one of his websites had touched their 8-year-old son inappropriately. A police investigation uncovered 11 other victims across Southern California dating back to 2014. He was arrested in 2019 at an airport while getting off at an international flight. He was convicted of 34 felonies, including lewd and lascivious acts with a minor under the age of 14, oral copulation of a child under the age of 10 years old, that makes him a pedophile, possession of child pornography, using a minor for sex acts, distributing pornography to a minor for purposes of engaging in sexual conduct, and attempted lewd or lascivious acts with a minor under the age of 14 years old, authorities said, which also would make him a pedophile. Is anybody offended by anything that I've said yet? Because we're about to dive a little bit deeper. This is a case of shattered innocence and excuse me. This is a case of shattered innocence and precious childhoods that were robbed from 17 boys. That were robbed from 17 little boys, I should say. These children will never know the people they were truly intended to be because their childhoods were suddenly and inexplicably interrupted, not by a wolf at the door, but by a predator masquerading as a godsend. Children are not born knowing how to lie, which y'all have heard me say that before, but they're saying this in this article. Children are not born knowing how to lie. But this master manipulator taught these very young children to lie and to keep secrets from their parents. And I've told you guys, children don't lie. Babies don't lie. They tell the truth. The only time that they will do something different is if they are taught the value of not being honest, which that's usually done by a manipulative person, an adult usually. These innocent little boys must bear a life of trauma, and their parents will bear a lifetime of pain, knowing that they put their precious children in the arms of an animal because they believed who he said he was. But that was a lie. He had no interest in protecting these children. He was only interested in preying on their innocence and filming the assaults for his sick sexual gratification. We cannot undo the trauma inflicted so unnecessarily on these children, but we can do everything we can to support these families as they try to put the broken pieces of their children back together. To bring you, or let me see. Let me say this. Do you guys know that a high number, and this is a fact, and this is the part that I want y'all to get upset about. It is a statistical fact that most gay men have been molested or sexually assaulted at a young age. Again, we're talking about grooming. Again, we're talking about, this is why parents like me and so many other people are adamant that we don't want these drag queens coming to the schools and reading your children books about sexuality, about your identity and stuff like that, because kids don't need to hear stuff like that. They don't need to know stuff like that. They don't need to feel stuff like that. And they're too young to understand stuff like that. Have I lost anybody yet? That is also a form of grooming, which in my opinion, it's criminal. Parents should have the option and should do the due diligence of teaching their children about sexuality or about themselves or whatever the case is at home. That should not be done in a school, in a public setting, let alone by somebody who's dressing up in women's panties. That's weird. I don't know why people would ever think that's okay. And there's a reason to all of this. To watch a drag queen come up to your school, a man dressed in women's clothing and makeup, and that's okay to read books to your children? But turn around and let a straight man come up there with some tight leather pants on, grease him up, and he's buff and looking real manly and real gangster. Would you let him read to your kids? Hell no. What if a woman came up there in stripper attire in front of a bunch of little boys? Would that be okay to be trying to sexually appease little boys? Hell no. Everybody would have a problem with that. So why is it okay, and why are people less adamant about seeing somebody who is a part of LGTB come up there and try to promote their personal agendas, their personal thoughts, their personal feelings, their personal identities on children who don't know a damn thing about any of that, nor should they care about any of that? Why? Because they are trying to groom them early to have a distorted mentality about what the world is and how the world works. Have I offended anybody yet? That's the truth. Forget your feelings. For anybody who supports the LGTB, tell me when I've said something that's not factually correct. I might say something that might hurt your feelings, maybe something that might make you think like, damn, Jay, that's messed up. Why do you feel that way? Well, I'm literally telling you why I feel this way and why this story really captured my attention. Okay? Here's another thing. I'm going to try my best to say this without getting flagged. When it comes to the difference between women and women and men, here's the difference. Women and women, LGTB relationships, connect with each other on an emotional level. Hello. Tell me when I've said something that's wrong. Got a lot of gay friends. I've been talking to them about this stuff for years. So I think I have a pretty good understanding about what their mentality is and why they make the choices that they make. And they don't disagree with anything that I say. Women on women connect on an emotional level. Men on men, LGTB relationships connect on a physical, sexual level. Hello. Keep in mind, there's a point to all of this. Women connect on an emotional level. Men connect on a physical, sexual level. Which is why the relationships that have the highest level of domestic violence is women on women relationships. Thank you. You actually just caught what I was getting ready to say. Thank you. That's a statistical fact. Whenever two things are the same, and this is something that my mom taught me about me and my father. My mom taught me about me and my father, and she said that the reason why you and your dad don't get along and why y'all bicker and fight with each other so much and why y'all clash a lot is because y'all are very similar. And I was like, really? Are we? I'm like, I don't think like him. But the more I started to realize that me and my dad had a lot of similarities, the better we got along. We're very, very similar. So we clashed a lot. Women on women relationships are very similar when it comes to their biology, when it comes to their mentality, when it comes to their sexuality, when it comes to their relatability, which means they should clash. That is the opposite of what energy does in the world. And energy in the world says that opposites attract. Similarities push themselves apart from each other naturally. Which is why you take a magnet. Actually, I have magnets over there. I'm not going to go grab them because everybody already understands that. Even if you learn this as kids, that when you put negative and negative together, it repels. When you put positive and positive together, it repels. Put positive and negative together and it snaps together, it attracts. Now, let's talk about men. Men are very carnal in general, not all. Well, most. Men are very physical. Men are very dominant. Men are extremely sexual. And men think about sex quite a bit and will do a lot of things to get as much sex as they possibly can. Right? So knowing this and knowing that when we choose a woman, we are usually looking at that woman on a physical level. And we're looking at that woman like, we're not thinking about what her education level is. We're not thinking about, her attitude. We're not thinking about what she's doing for a living. We're thinking about, I wonder how she looks with less of what she's wearing on. Maybe with little to nothing on. One track mind. Tell me when I said something that's not the truth. They got videos, they have commercials, they have movies where a man is talking to a beautiful woman and he's just staring at her rack, at her chest. Hey, I'm up here. You guys ever seen that? Like he's just staring at her chest and, hey, I'm up here. And he's got to look up because he can't hear nothing. He's just thinking sex, 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 sex. That's the nature of a man, right? What you get when you have a gay man is you have a thing called hypersexuality. It is increased. It is at a higher level. Because now they're willing to go against their biology. The things that they're supposed to do naturally, they're going against it by being with each other, which means they have a much more heightened level of sexuality that a normal person doesn't understand. And guess what else that means? That means since you're going against nature, you're going against your biology, that means it's harder for you to get what it is that you want. So if it's harder to get what it is that you want, then that means you'll become more desperate to get what it is that you want because there is a lower supply of what it is that you want. So if a man wants a man, the likelihood of them finding a man that's already gay is not likely, which is why a lot of people who are into homosexuality, especially on the men's side, generally try to groom little boys to be gay so that way that they increase their odds or they increase their numbers. Is that a fact or is that not a fact? That is a fact. In order for them to have more gay men, they have to groom them and convince these boys to follow that lifestyle, why it's okay, or flat out try to force them into that by having contact, by having books read to them, by having conversations said to them, by having people like this interfere with these boys' lives. Now you look up and now you potentially just added 16 to 17 boys that might end up making a different decision when it comes to pair bonding when they grow up. I mean, they might think, I was touched as a boy. So now my mind is thinking like this, which is how most boys end up coming into the LGTB lifestyle because they were affected as children. That is a fact. I haven't said anything that's not factually based yet, which is why I'm getting ready to say what I'm getting ready to say now. First of all, because he's been convicted, he's going to do 705 years plus some. That would make him LGTB. That would make him gay. That would make him a gay man. His goal was to try to turn up more gay men. And he probably is one of those weird people, one of those type of dudes that other gay dudes turn their nose up at, like, we like gay people, but you're a bit too much. And you know what? He's just like, you know what? I'm going to groom my own pasture of gay boys that like me, which is why he behaves the way that he does, which is why he has a very childish demeanor. He doesn't act like an adult. He acts like a little kid, which is why he takes advantage of the vulnerable, which is even weirder because if you do your research on people, watch their demeanor, pay attention, anybody can see that, no, I'm not letting you watch my goddamn kids. I actually have a video that I want you guys to see, and I want y'all to just check out his behavior. And for those who are parents, if you have kids, I want y'all to tell me that you're going to let this person watch your kids. Let me give you guys the fair usage. And again, to the LGTB, I mean no disrespect, but just tell me if I said something that's not based on facts and science. That's the truth. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. And if you guys have some opinions, post them in the comment section. I do welcome an open, healthy conversation. We can debate. Let's not be disrespectful. Do me a favor and hit that thumbs up and share this. Hell, share it in your favorite groups. I want more people to participate in this conversation. Here we go.
The Orange County man was trusted to babysit children, and tonight he's behind bars accused of molesting up to 6 of them. KCAL 9 Orange County reporter Stacy Butler is live tonight in Costa Mesa with new information for us. Stacy?
Yeah, Susie, since the story broke earlier today, police tell me that 4 more alleged victims have come forward. That brings the total up to 6. In this area where the suspect grew up, neighbors we spoke with tonight are shocked.
My name is Matthew, and I've been working with children for more than 6 years now.
You just don't think that something so sickening is so close to your front door.
Neighbors who've lived in the same condominium complex as 30-year-old Matthew Zacharzewski for decades can't believe that the friendly kid they've watched grow up was arrested. Police say the Costa Mesa college grad had his own nanny business, babysitting children from Los Angeles to Orange County. He called himself a professional nanny. Zacharzewski pled not guilty to 3 counts of lewd and lascivious acts with a minor under the age of 14.
I'm very surprised and shocked. I did think it was odd when I knew he was doing a babysitting business. He's a really smart kid.
Laguna Beach police say a couple who found the Manny through his website contacted them when they say Zacharzewski inappropriately touched their 8-year-old son while babysitting.
I guess until next time, bye.
I don't think he's ever done anything here to the residents here. I think he's just been a nice kid. That's very sad. I hope it's not true.
When police started investigating, they say they found another victim, a 7-year-old Los Angeles boy. Earlier tonight, a boy from Newport Beach came forward. Since the news stories aired earlier today, 3 more victims have come forward from all over Orange County, totaling 6 so far. Police believe there may be more victims out there.
I'm just shocked. I can't believe it.
I want to add something. Let me add this, because this is not a hit to the LGTB when it comes to adopting children. But let me say this. I'm not necessarily against LGTB adopting children, because I think that children do need good homes, and you can find good homes in whatever sexual preference that you have is fine, but you shouldn't, not only should your public displays of affection not be done around kids, but you definitely shouldn't be, doing anything sexual with kids to begin with. But on top of that, I think it's a risky thing in general, not just with them and definitely not just with men-on-men relationships. I think it's a risky thing in general for kids to be adopted. How about that? And that's all humans, period. That's all people. Would I trust a male nanny? Hell no. Look, do y'all want to see? Y'all got to see this video, man. I got two more. Hold on. I'm gonna play this video next. How about that? Y'all got to see this. I'm gonna play it next. How about that? Hold on. Can I get to it? Hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up here real quick. Let's go 1, and then we'll go like that. Boom. But here's my thing. I don't trust really anybody who does not share a DNA tie with those children to be proper and pure with them. You have to hope and pray, and I just don't like that. That's with all people adopting kids. That's why I think there should be background checks. You should be monitored. There should be a high standard. It should be deathly difficult to adopt children, let alone he's creepy as hell. Watch this.
Hi there, my name is Matthew Zakshevsky, and I'm a 29-year-old nanny living in Southern California in a city called Costa Mesa. I'll actually be turning 30 real soon in just a couple days, so that's the whole 29 part, that's gonna change real soon. Gosh, where to start? I mean, I have so much of my story that I love to share with you, and I guess the biggest thing for me is when I decided to become a professional nanny, it was kind of not something I had in mind and was focused on choosing as a career. It just kind of something I fell into, and I think for a lot of other guys that I run into also that do work with children, whether it's through ABA therapy or through the school system, through the school district, or as coaches or camp counselors, they feel very similar to me. They don't think or even consider nannying as a career choice, and I think that's really sad. It's definitely not that case for females, and I think that's why this year I feel like I've just been really wanting to get involved in advocating for male nannies everywhere, and so I hope we'll get the chance to meet and maybe talk some more, and I would love to answer more of your questions.
Keep in mind, that's the same man that just got convicted and they gave him 705 years in prison. Plus some. 705.
That's right. Just a few minutes ago, I interviewed this local mom who tells me that she hired and fired this nanny. And she is also sharing that he exposed himself to her son. Now, that's something that she just found out about. As a matter of fact, she learned of this yesterday, about the same time that news was breaking that Matthew Zakrzewski was in custody.
I didn't want to be mean, but I eventually told him that if he didn't leave my son alone, if he got in within whiffing distance of my child, I would call the police.
This Newport Beach mother has gone to police with her suspicions about Southern California babysitter and nanny Matthew Zakrzewski, who advertised his services online as Matthew the Manny
Now that you know a little bit about me, I'm hoping I'll get a chance to meet you and know a little bit more about you.
The 30-year-old from Costa Mesa has been charged in a child molestation case that Laguna Beach police say now involves at least 6 children. Yesterday, 3 boys had been identified as alleged victims of Zacharzewski, and detectives got calls from 16 other families fearful that their kids may have been abused too. Matthew the Manny has worked for years babysitting in LA and Orange counties.
It's been kind of a little crazy. It's been hectic. We've received several, and when I say several, it's been up to about 16 voicemails overnight on a phone line that we designated for just this investigation. We now have a confirmed 6 victims that we're working with.
This mom tells me she had a bad feeling about Matthew Zacharzewski and fired him in 2015. Then news of his arrest broke yesterday.
Yeah, when I found out about it, one of my best friends texted me and she said, "You were right." And I feel really guilty about that because you can't go around accusing people of things. But in my gut, I knew something was wrong.
Now that mom is talking to us today in the hopes of helping other families who may have used this same nanny. As you could tell, we are protecting her identity for the sake of her son. She also told me that this nanny overstepped his bounds. He would take her son to the movies and to parks when she did not give him authority to do this. That's originally why she'd fired him. And remember, she was unaware that this man had exposed himself allegedly to her son until yesterday. So she has now gone to the police. Now, as for Matthew Zacharzewski, he has pleaded not guilty. He's in jail being held on $1 million bail.
And let me address this real quick because Ash and Emmy and a couple other people, GAB, a couple of y'all actually pointed out something very important. Like, how did he keep getting hired? Why didn't they speak out sooner? Here's the thing. The reason why he continued to get jobs is because nobody said anything. And this is something I was talking to, I think I was talking to Rude for Eyes in LA. Shout out to him. And I was talking to them about this the other day. And I'm very opinionated about some things. And I was just kind of curious, like with the whole Cassie and Puff Daddy thing. I don't know if you guys read into that. But she was trying to basically come out and utilize this law that had just been passed in New York where they could go back 20 years and criminally prosecute somebody for sexual assault and for different things like that. There was a law that came into place to where it would allow people like Cassie, who was in a long-term abusive relationship, allegedly, and I'm going to say allegedly because she backed off of that criminal case real quick. And she came out and filed a case against him. And next thing you know, they settled for an undisclosed dollar amount. And now she's going to go away and not bring anything up. And my whole thing is two things. First of all, what you were going through, if it was that important that you had to bring it up and say something, then in my opinion, you need to go through with the prosecution regardless of whether you're able to obtain an amount of money or not, because it shouldn't be about that. It should be about right and wrong. And if a person is wrong, they should pay for their transgressions. Guys, like my big $5 words today, since we're talking about money? If a person does wrong, they should be held accountable for their transgressions. All right? If it's that serious. But the fact that within 24 hours of filing that case, she turned around and they settled without going to court. And I 100% and vehemently disagree with that. And another thing, if you are being abused, which I'm not saying that she wasn't, I don't think it can wait 10 years. I don't think it can wait 5 years. I don't think it can wait 2 years, 12 months, a couple of months. I don't think that as a grown person that's going through something like that, if you have the ability to speak and walk and And whatever the case is, unless somebody has you tied up and chained in a chamber, you should have the ability to step out there and speak up and ask for help from the police or do something. Here's my other point. So let's get past that part. My other point about it is if you are a person that has been abused, and I've said this with regard to children who've been abused at school, maybe people who have been abused at home, it is important for people to speak up and say something, because if you don't, then what it's going to do is it's going to allow more people to be victimized. So not only if you were done wrong, now more people get to be done wrong because nobody's saying anything. Everybody's scared. And it does take someone to have the courage and say something, which is why we have a hashtag, which is hashtag it can't wait. The reason why it can't wait is for situations like this and many other situations, because this man has been messing with kids, at least that we know of, since 2014. So you're talking about what, 9 years? 9 years of sexually abusing boys, and now you have a total of 17 victims instead of 1, which it should have never been 0. It should have been 0, because everybody should have looked at him and said, nah, he weird, bro. He's weird. He ain't getting none of our kids. Nope. Nanny, Manny, babysitter my ass. No, thank you. But it should have stopped after number 1. Hashtag it can't wait, and this is why. That's why I have a hashtag called hashtag it can't wait. So when something happens, if a parent knows about it, if a child knows about it, speak up and say something. Therefore, instead of just 17 victims, maybe we only have 1. Not only do you help yourself, but you also help prevent others from being harmed as well. So that's the point that I wanted to bring up. And I understand if not everybody understands where I'm coming from, but that's kind of where I'm coming from.
More than 700 years in prison. That was the sentence today given to a male nanny accused of sexually assaulting more than a dozen boys in his care. Orange County reporter Jessica DeNova has more.
Upon hearing his sentencing of more than 700 years behind bars without probation, Matthew Zagchevsky showed no emotion in Orange County Superior Court Friday. The 34-year-old Costa Mesa man was convicted for sexually abusing 16 boys and showing a 17th child pornography from 2014 to 2019. He filmed his crimes while serving as a male nanny for families across California. The children ranged in age from 2 to 12. In court, Zagchevsky looked intently at the parents of the children he abused as they read their impact statements. Mothers broke down in tears, telling Zagchevsky he stole their child's souls, leaving their little ones and families with years of therapy as they work to move on. Their hope for him that, quote, his time in prison is the stuff of nightmares. Zagchevsky addressed the families, never apologizing, instead telling them he wants their sons to break through the clouds and shine bright.
I want you guys to also notice how they said that he never apologized. He was trying to convert these children over into his personal lifestyle choice. I'm going to back this up so y'all can hear it again, that they said he never apologized, because he's not apologetic. He's not sorry at all. He just don't want to go to jail. He's not sorry. Listen to this again.
Their hope for him that, quote, his time in prison is the stuff of nightmares. Zagchevsky addressed the families, never apologizing, instead telling them he wants their sons to break through the clouds and shine bright. The judge addressed Zagchevsky, reminding him of what the videos he recorded show, his repeated abuse of trust, saying, quote, we watched you turn molestation into a game at reading time, bath time, a swim opportunity, and of course, bedtime. As the bailiffs took Zagchevsky away, clapping filled the room from families satisfied with the judge's sentencing. The judge ordered Zagchevsky to have no contact with any of his victims, whether in person, electronically, or in writing.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC.
And somebody in the chat, y'all have been saying this for a while with this story, and y'all said Jared Fogle. I actually forgot about that, but let me pull that up again. If I'm not mistaken, Jared Fogle possessed child pornography. He appeared at Subway's advertising campaigns from 2000 to 2015. From 2015 until an FBI investigation led to him being convicted of child sex tourism and possessing child pornography. Does he not look like Jared Fogle? He looks like a relative of his. Thank y'all for who called that out. It was I think a couple of y'all called that out that said Jared Fogle, Jared Fogle. Let me see if I can show you his picture. And again, these are weird men. Do y'all remember Jared Fogle? Subway, eat fresh. Y'all remember that commercial? Don't he look just like Jared Fogle? Like that looks like that could be his dad or his brother. I'm gonna let a couple more pictures fly by here. Let me show y'all this. He looks just like Jared, don't he? Boy. He looks like the low-fat version of Jared Fogle. Oh, my God. He's the low-fat version of Jared Fogle. Ain't that some shit? Look at that. He's Jared Light. He's Diet Jared. Wow. They are twins for sure. Look at that. Look at that. Tweedledee and Tweedledum looking ass. And they're both weirdos. I always thought Jared was a weirdo from the Subway commercials. Wow, that's crazy that y'all called that out. Very good call. Very good call. But again, I want you guys to remember my whole point about this, my entire point to summarize this is just to say nothing about this man said, based on his demeanor, based on his looks, said that he was safe to have your children around at all. Like he was way too happy, way too enthusiastic, way too happy, way too eager. No. Your interest is way too high, bro. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, his enthusiasm was about a 15. He's way too enthusiastic about this. He's Jared Light, Diet Jared. So Diet Jared is going to have 705 years plus in prison, and I hope that they actually put them in the same prison together. That would actually be interesting. But nonetheless, I hope that they suffer for the rest of their lives, and for those children that were involved, those boys specifically that were involved in this story, 17 of them, keep them in your thoughts and prayers, that they can grow up and become something great, and that they're not completely traumatized by this, and that they can go on with their lives and be productive members of society. That's all I ask. Shout out and thank you to everybody who listened to the story. Leave a comment in the comment section. Thank you.